welcome along everyone. So we are back for a weekend debrief and on a slightly later time in the week, on a Sunday. Those of you that may have followed the 12 scale national just gone, it was a bit of an awkward one for me. Saturday I was I think I might have been BQ and sort of just drove off and won the B final. Didn't really well. I drove off into the distance in the B final, which was good, and then on Sunday, not so good. But lots to talk about that I want to cover this evening. Some high points, some low points, and a few points in between. Chesterfield, as usual, was the winner for the weekend. I think, as per usual, they put on just a fantastic show. Kev Creaser, Andy Smith and Trevor Colt, their team do a sterling job. It was comfortably the best track I've ever driven. I seem to say that, or it feels like I say that, on every video I post about 12 scale driving, but they really did excel in terms of the layout. There was, if you didn't see it online, but there was a sort of a roundabout in the bottom left hand corner as you stand on the rostrum, which at the time looked a bit gimmicky, if I'm honest, but actually it was actually a really nice feature of the track. And I know it got a lot of exposure on social media with people posting up pictures of it, which is always good, isn't it? It's sharing the class and showing that we can actually think a little more laterally rather than just thinking in the same way. The commonality of every host seems to be we've been doing it for many years and this is the way we do it. Now I think that time has come and gone and we need to move forwards. Cheers and happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. I'm on the gin and tonics. This is a orange gin and ginger ale, whatever it is. Anyway, I've had a few already, so it might get even looser than I originally suggested it might. But I'm just checking the feed is running okay. It seems to be running okay. Got a decent amount of people watching, which is great. If you are watching, let me know where you are watching from. Always great to hear from you. So let's recap the weekend. The reason why I didn't do this on Wednesday night was because I was a little pissed off about the weekend. I went there with a certain agenda, and it was a bit of a shitty weekend really from start to finish, for a few reasons, which is certainly I'll cover this evening. I spent the day on Friday at Midlands Raceway, hired the track out. I went up there, ran the buggy around. Obviously got the summer season coming up, and I think it's always good to get the buggy out. Gives you an opportunity to think 3D, and it certainly makes 2D racing, which on road racing is certainly a little bit easier. So I decided to take Friday off and go up and do a little bit of practice. Chris Blackburn, Mark Rogers and Andy Thompson were due to come along. Andy Thompson couldn't make it. Unfortunately, he caught COVID and subsequently had to pull out of the weekend, which was a real shame for him. But one of those things, he did the right thing, stayed home, protected himself and his friends alike. So Andy's bowl accounts on the mend, which is great to hear. And he is looking forwards for some more racing. As I say, Midlands Raceway, spectacular venue. They've got a couple of layers or levels on their track, which really makes for some interesting racing. Put the cones out, spent the day doing that, and I really felt that put me in good stead for the weekend. On the back of a bit of racing that went on the week before, I did the South Mid-South Regional, 85 guys. I finished, I think it was 8th or something in the overall, and feeling confident. Previous experience was with the 12 scale and doing there. So anyway, I was going into the weekend with some confidence, and one mind on the Euros, one mind on doing well in the 12 scale nationals, the final event, which feels like it's come around really quickly, and it's finished really quickly. Obviously, there's a few people that have been disappointed because they limited it to 60 drivers and 30 GT12 guys, but good to see GT12 was well supported. Daniel Robbins winning the championships, and Daniel went on to run 12 scale on the Sunday and did well by all accounts, and I've seen on the entries that he is running 12 scale at the Euros. So good to see him transgressing, or progressing, should I say, from the GT12 to 12 scale, and hopefully we'll see him kick on and compete at the highest level, in not only nationally but in the European Championships and maybe the Worlds. Who knows? But obviously a very big talent that Schumacher are helping bring along. So the Saturday obviously was the first day. Friday night, as usual, the post was put up by Peter Winton. Doors open at 9 o'clock. Me and the fellows went for a curry at 7 on the back of the day at Midlands Raceway. And of course, as per usual, we turn up at 8:40, looking to think that we might be sort of a little bit early, because obviously it strictly said doors open at 9. But anyhow, we were already there, and there was approximately 8 to 10 spots left. All of the Schumacher guys had their spots reserved by Trevor Colt. All of the Zen guys had their spots reserved by, I don't really know. And so myself and Nige and Mark Rogers and G, we had the vibe that there weren't going to be an opportunity to sit together, which is ridiculous. I approached Kevin Creaser and I said, Kev, what's going on? I actually said to him, this is ridiculous. The doors are supposed to be open at 8 o'clock, and then we turn up here and then there's nowhere to sit, or there is very limited space. So basically what it's saying is, in Peter Winton's words, are that if you are not part of a team, i.e. you're not part of Zen or you're not part of Schumacher, you are not allowed into the hall before 9 o'clock, because those two teams had all of their spaces reserved, and for the rest of us it was no entry. And so much so that when we walked into the hall, Peter Winton made a remark to Mark Rogers about, it's 9:40 or 8:40, why are you in here? Which is really fucking annoying, being quite honest, that we all pay equal fees, and we have to bun fight for a pit space. I don't think it's on. It's just the way it's been run. It's always been run that way, and it needs to change. It really does, because it's not. I spent my afternoon thinking about, I hope I get there in time so that I can sit with my friends on a weekend. I mean, it's ridiculous. Yet you turn up and Trevor Colt has reserved the whole of the Schumacher team, which is not on, and whoever has reserved the Zen team, which again is not on, I think. But it is what it is anyhow. So we end up with a space there. We all end up sitting next to each other, which was a decent effort, and we sort of fit in. Saturday was a good day. I went in there, with one mind on trying a slightly different tyre strategy, trying to move away from T-foam, and also trying a slightly different additive routine, trying to put less on so that as the day went on, the car wouldn't kind of bog down, which was great. It definitely, my car showed great pace in the heat that I was in. I was always leading. I think I won the first run, and I think I was 5th or something on the Saturday after the first round, which obviously is nothing, but it still shows good promise, of course. And then as the day went on, Obviously, as I'm talking, feel free to ask any questions, comment as you see fit, etc., etc. And as the day went on, the car was good. Changing a few things away, changed some springs, changed some pod setup, changed some side spring adjustments, changed quite a few things on the car. And I asked Alex Hagberg to help me out, and he offered up some thoughts and some help. And the car was the quickest in my heat, and it was mid pack A final as far as I was concerned. And as the day went on, obviously we all know that round 4 is really the run that kind of what's the word, justifies your position in the event, because we know that the grip is going to be at its best in qualifying in round 4, which, hey Tony, nice to have you along, which in its own self creates the situation that I'm about to sort of talk about. And so round 1 I did okay, 2 and 3 didn't do so well. The change that I made to the rear pod of my car, I took the rear brace off to give it a little bit more flex, a bit more rear traction, mechanical grip. But of course, when you whacked it, it did tweak it ever so slightly, so the car became slightly more difficult to drive. So anyway, in round 4, I don't know how long I was in 3 or 4 minutes in, and I was leading the run, and because I had sort of slipped back over rounds 2 and 3, I was at the back of the pack and in the heat, and I was going up through the run in round 4, and I was coming up to Mark Jordan. Mark Jordan was also doing well. I think he was qualifying in the A final, and I was on a good run. And of course the ref was calling it out, and Mark Jordan would have known that I was on a good run. And coming onto the straight, Mark Jordan got out of shape. He tapped the barrier. He still kept it pinned, knowing that I was behind him. And of course, he would have known that I was behind him for the whole run. And he tapped the barrier, got out of control, and took my car out, and he put me on my roof down the straight. And of course, in my mind, 4 minutes in, 3 minutes in, I'm on a good run, and I'm looking like, okay, this is it. This is where I'm going to stick it, sort of mid-pack A final. And I was standing next to him on the rostrum, and I said, of course you're going to wait, Mark, aren't you? And no comment, he just drove off, which kind of enraged me somewhat. And I would have to say that my behaviour was not correct. I carried on. My car was turned over. I carried on. In hindsight, if I'd have carried on and kept driving, perhaps I might have still made the A final. As it happened, I didn't. And I chased him down, and I said, are you not going to wait? And he wouldn't wait. He just kept on driving. And I said to him, if you don't wait, I'm just going to pull over, and I'm going to become an obstacle for your race. But he kept on going, and I pulled over, and I became an obstacle, and he drove into the back of me. And it ruined his run, as he had ruined my run. And I think whilst that was petty, probably it was childish. I think that if you are in the top 20, top 30 of the 12 scale championship, let's say, you are experienced enough to know that if you're going well, people should step aside. If you are going badly, or you make a mistake and you know it's round 4, people are wise enough to know that they should be putting aside. And unfortunately, Mark is both experienced enough and wise enough to know that should have happened, but he didn't. And on the back of that, he then carried on and showed no remorse, no etiquette for his other fellow drivers. And that's why I took the actions that I did. So anyhow, it ruined his run. But he still qualified, because he qualified through, I think, his 3rd run. So he's still going to the A final. I then subsequently left the rostrum. I think the words may have been spoken on the rostrum, and of course it's uncomfortable because everyone suddenly sees you, right? I mean, you're standing on the rostrum and now you're having a set to with someone else, and you look a child because you're talking about your car. And the reality is, whether it was tiddlywinks, whether it was a real car, whether it was an aeroplane, or whether it was running on a track, athletics, you are still invested emotionally and with time and effort. And the perspective on his remorse, his reaction was, you're being a child, it's toy car racing. It goes beyond that, because we are all there spending a lot of money and investing time. It goes beyond that. It's all about how you behave around others and how you treat their car on track, etc., etc. So I left the rostrum and picked my car up and walked back to the pits. After that run, I went up to Peter Winton and explained my actions. I told him exactly what happened. I wasn't trying to hide it. I told him my intentions. And Peter said to me, just make sure you don't leave the rostrum next time. And of course, the round before, which I hadn't spoken about in a meeting or one of these debriefs, the round before we had Mark Stiles. I was in the top heat. Mark Stiles in round 2 or 3, when I was on a good run, he pulled his car off and started playing with it and adjusting it, which is not allowed. And I said to Peter that that's not on. And so my reaction was, well, if Mark Stiles can leave the rostrum and start changing things around, why can't I? Not necessarily the reaction that I should have, but my agenda is clear, that I want to do as well as I can. And when you don't get, we've all spent time being shite at this hobby, and we're all looking to improve. And when I mean shite, it's all relative to where we are at the moment, right? If you're improving and you were worse last week, you are shite in comparison to where you are now, and that's all I mean by that. So we've all worked hard to get faster and better. And I think that when you get faster and better, you expect more from the people that you're driving around. And when I marshalled, or when I was the ref for the top heat, I look at the way they behaved, and I think that the driving standards were poor the weekend, because there was way too many people pulling out on people when they lost shape on the track, etc., etc. So I think the driving standards of the weekend as a whole were poor anyway. Why that was, don't know. Maybe the last weekend, maybe people were trying to push forwards. There were people there that weren't there. And I think maybe the track lent itself to that. Never seen Dave Spashit make so many mistakes. So I think there were maybe a few contributing factors that caused the situation to be what it was, or the track created that. It was very technical again. It was quite fast. I think the grip in itself was a little bit strange. Tried various tyre combinations, etc., etc. So overall, that on Saturday made the whole weekend pretty uncomfortable, on the back of a bit of a set to with Kev Creaser on the Saturday. I'm not out there to be someone that's a troublemaker. I'm not out there to be someone that is controversial, but what I am out to be is competitive, have a fair playing field, and also to be respected by my fellow drivers if you're in the same heat. And I think a few points were fair playing field. When you turn up, everyone should have the same. If you are there on time, you've made your effort to turn up there at 7:40 or 8:40 when the doors are open. If you've made that effort, you should get the first pick of the tables. It should not be that you don't worry, it's all taken care of because someone else is there. I think that's a situation. And also, when you're racing with your fellow drivers and someone is out of shape and you make someone else flip their car on their roof, you should understand that you made that happen in round 4. Therefore, you are the cause of that situation, so you have to take responsibility for that. And if you don't take responsibility for that, then all of a sudden you are just driving recklessly and going through people. So that's those two incidents. And so that kind of marred the weekend really for me. Sunday, I had a few too many gin and tonics on Saturday night, truth to be told. And on the Sunday, I wasn't really feeling it. I was nowhere. And it was really a bit of a shitty way of ending the 12th season, if I'm being honest. Walked away from there feeling like I don't really want to go to the 12K Euros, etc., etc. And so I've had a bit of a time to reflect, lick my wounds, thought about what I did right, what I did wrong. Andy Sawyer, he messaged or put a post when I put a post up about the debrief about discussing leaving the rostrum and having my time taken away from me. Andy, if that's the rules, so be it. But also you've got to look at all of the other rules that go on when it comes to getting a pit space where there is no rule. Racing on track, being taken out. The referee should have sin-binned Mark Jordan for not driving away. There are so many rules that is horseshit, and telling me what I should and shouldn't do and having my time taken away is nonsense when you don't know what the situation was. So good for you for bringing up a rule, but tell someone who really cares, because I didn't really care at that moment in time, and neither still do I. The hobby is brilliant. It is excellent. We've got more people getting engaged by 12 scale just through this very channel, and I think our opportunity to make the hobby grow is fantastic. GT12's growing, 12 scale is growing, cars are becoming easier, GT12 is becoming easier. It's all moving in the right direction. But to have people like me leaving the rostrum and getting the ump doesn't look good. It's a shit show. It was poor form from me, but I hold my hands up. We all have red mists. We've all had red mists on the rostrum, but it is what it is. And hopefully moving forwards, people will take responsibility for their actions. From checking in to booking in to getting there early, to putting up notes saying that you can't get in before 9 o'clock and then turning up and there's like a hall full of people, all of it, because that way it makes you want to go to a national and not go to a national, and that's the reality of it all. So as you can tell, I'm a bit fired up by it all, because I want to get better at it, and I feel like I was a little bit hard done by at the weekend. On the back of that, I mean that's the bad stuff, right? I mean, ultimately it was a fantastic weekend. I think Chesterfield, as per usual, put on an epic weekend. The way they put on a track, the infills that they do, the effort that they go to is just fantastic. And then other things spoil it, and people like me come away with a poor experience. Me personally, I'll always come back because that's just the type of guy I am. People, being asked to be a ref, and certain people, they know who they are, shouting at the ref for not doing what they want them to do. It's poor. It's not the way it should be. The ref is doing his very best job, and even in my situation, I never went up to the ref and said you did the wrong thing, because I understand that having your eyes everywhere is not easy. It is the driver's responsibility to behave appropriately, and in the top heat and in my heat, the drivers did not behave appropriately. I didn't behave appropriately in reflection to what went on. Mark Jordan didn't behave appropriately in how he drove and reacted to the incident that he created. Many people in the top heat didn't drive appropriately because they kept on pulling out on track, taking people out, didn't let people through quickly enough, etc., etc. They didn't drive well enough. So it's a bit of a shit show, the final weekend, which is a real shame. But That being said, and I'm being outspoken by that, and I hope I don't offend people, but I'm just saying the way I see it, for the sake of change, making it better, because that's what this is all about. Getting the hobby to be as competitive and being talked about, because that's good, but making it better. And I think we need to keep striving to making it better, and not standing still. I'm not going to say making it worse, because it's not worse, it's great. So, and relax, Stuart. And you can understand that this is a week on. That's why I didn't do it Wednesday night, because I was fucked off with it. Ready to throw it all out the window and never come back to 12 scale ever again, because I was fucked off with it. But I'm not that kind of guy. I am a battler, and I will keep pushing on it and trying to get faster and better. Some great, some things to mention over the weekend. I'm just going to take another drink of my gin and tonic. Jody Sherritt did a fantastic job. His car was excellent Saturday and Sunday, and he drove the absolute pants off it. Jody's worked hard at doing super well, and he made both A finals Saturday and Sunday. So good on you, Jody, for doing that. Top man. No, he didn't. He made the A final Sunday. My shambolic situation caused Jody to miss the A final on Saturday, which I'm eternally grateful for. And by the way, I did go over to Mark Jordan and I apologise for the way I behaved, because it was out of order. But Jody drove superbly well. It goes without saying that on Sunday, when Andy Smith won the national, beating Dave, holding Dave off, the guy drove incredibly well, and he didn't use, and maybe I shouldn't say this, but I'm going to, because for the sake of his allegiance to the brand, he drove a different chassis for the Sunday, and he won the national A final. And I hope to God that pushes him in the right direction to do what he needs to do to keep competing at the highest level in the national, because he drove incredibly well, did not step a foot wrong. He was third or fourth the whole weekend, the whole Sunday long, with that car. I'm not going to mention which car it is, because it's got nothing to do with me, but he used a different car on the Sunday, and it was reliable. He drove it well, and he competed, and Dave Spashett could not get past him. He drove within himself. He looked calm. I know Andy suffers with nerves on the rostrum, and he wasn't faster than Dave, but he put the car in the right place. He drove super well. He held him off. It was so good to watch, and I really hope that sparks a change for him going forwards, because he deserves to be competing for national titles, because he's a first-class driver. And not only that, more than that, he's an absolute legend. He puts his heart and soul into the Chesterfield club, and is an absolute diamond of a guy. Got time for everyone, and on the track he is a weapon, an absolute weapon. Nice to see Lewis Parker back racing. His car looked good on the Saturday. For whatever reason, I think he qualified in the B final, but decided not to race. Too much for his eco, maybe. But on the Sunday, he managed to run and race in the A final when he did. I don't know where he finished up, but his car looked really good. So hopefully he'll come back and do the full season of the 12 scale nationals next year. Who else was good to see? Adam Mackman did super well. I mean, he's a steady or a seasoned competitor, and he's racing super well. Nice to see Andy Murray back racing. He was taking it to Dave Spashett without doubt. Couldn't quite keep it on track. They were developing some other stuff from Schumacher, so it looks like some exciting stuff coming from them moving forwards. But his car looked really, really good. And it was, it's sad to see that's the last 12 scale national, and we're only sort of at the end of March. It feels like it's been a sort of come and gone in the blink of an eye. But it's, you know, it's one of those things when it comes to 12 scale, you know, indoor racing and all that kind of stuff. You know, guys move away from it. We've got one last big event coming up, of course, which is the Euros in a couple of weeks' time. There's a handful of guys going over. It's obviously headed up by Ollie Payne, Morgan Williams, Mark Payne, Chris House is going, Geraint Williams and myself are going. So there's 6 of us going over. Steve Wookie Payne is going to be there, supporting Ollie, obviously, and it's going to be a great weekend. Hopefully, I've got all the data sorted out, so I'm going to be able to stream it. I don't think RC Racing TV are going to be there, by all accounts, from what I've heard. Don't quote me on that. So my channel might be the only channel that's going to give you or bring you a live feed of 12 scale nationals. And I think that's about it. Hopefully, the passion at which I talk about racing comes across, and Alec Jones, Lewis Parker got called. Okay, my apologies. Shame that Lewis Parker got called into work on the Saturday. Coincided with him not doing so well and not qualifying so well, but that's one of those things. Anyhow, hopefully my passion and my inclination to bring you live coverage of these events is unquestionable to my agenda to make our hobby bigger and better. Nice to see people like Stu Colby is developing something. By the sounds of it, I don't quite know what he's doing, but bringing RC racing to the far reach kids. Also nice to see Kevin Talbot. Those of you that might follow him on YouTube, he did a video on racing a buggy, which is great. The more opportunity we take to bring RC racing to the masses, the better it'll be for all of us, because this hobby has truly given me the fire in the belly that I used to have when I was competing competitively, professionally, should I say. And I really enjoy it. So next stop for me will be a bit of buggy between now and the Euros. Don't know where that might be. Might be a Thursday night at Surrey and Hants. And then it will be off to Slovakia to race in the 12 scale Euros. Hopefully you have enjoyed this video. I mean no offense to anyone. It is all comes from my passion to make our hobby keep growing, keep getting better, and make people want to do it. If you've enjoyed this video, hit the like button. There's a good few of you watching. There's over 25 of you watching at the moment. Click the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I look forward to seeing you all, trackside soon.